Okay, so I think that's it. I think I'm going to get going. Any latecomers can join us, and as and when. But thank you to everyone that's joined us so far. As I mentioned, I'm Matt. Welcome to the EXO Adventure Experiences webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you might be around the world. Really appreciate you joining me now. What I want to talk about today is adventure experiences, but I also want to just tell you a little bit about EXO Adventure as well, just so you know a little bit more about us and what we do. So firstly, I'm just going to start off by telling you who I am. Let me just click on to the next slide. So there we are, there's a picture of me. So I'm Matt Blench, Director of EXO Adventure, originally from the UK, Southampton, the UK. I've been living over in Southeast Asia now for 16 years, predominantly in Bangkok. I did live in Laos for 4 years. And I've also worked in Cambodia and Vietnam as a tour leader. I've been with EXO now for nearly 5 years. Started in January 2016 as the director of EXO Adventure, and I've been very lucky to be part of the business that's seen really decent growth over the last 4 or 5 years. You can see my email address there is nice and simple, matt@exotravel.com. So like I said, if you did want to send me an email after today's webinar with any questions, then please go ahead, no problem at all. I'll do my best to get back to you within the next day or two. There's also the link there to our website. So what I'm going to start by doing is just telling you a little bit about EXO Adventure. I don't want to go into too much detail because the main focus of this webinar is to talk about the experiences. But I just want to tell you a little bit about us and what we do, for those that aren't familiar. So first up about us, EXO Adventure. We are part of EXO Travel. We're EXO Travel specialist adventure tour operator, providing highly personalized service delivered by people that understand adventure travel. But not all the adventure fanatics. We all have different interests, but we all really do have a passion for talking about adventure, and yeah, I mean, we just love everything about adventure. We offer the cost advantage of a larger DMC, but operate nimbly as a small adventure operator. So we operate as a slightly separate entity to EXO Travel, but we are part of EXO Travel. I'm based here in Bangkok at our head office. Obviously the great thing is that we can leverage EXO Travel when it comes to negotiating rates on things like hotels and transport, etc., which obviously is great for us. But we are smaller teams in each destination. We are in 8 destinations. The only one we're not in is Singapore. We're all over the region. Our teams, our local adventure teams based in each destination, as I just said. And one thing that's a little bit unique about EXO Adventure is that we actually sort of self-operate in the fact that we are the ones that will design the tour, so design the product. We are then the ones that will do the bookings and the reservations. We are also then the ones that deliver the tours. So that's a little bit more unique compared to EXO Travel, where you have the product team that develop the tours, and you've got the reservations team that do all the bookings, etc. And then you've got our operations team behind the scenes that set up the tours and operate them. We tend to do everything ourselves. We do sometimes utilize some of the operations teams around the region, because depending on where the office is situated. But basically, by developing and designing the product and then doing the bookings and operating it, of course we have our knowledge of those tours is superb, and the person that ends up operating the tour for you and your clients is probably also going to be the person that probably designed the tour as well, so they know the tours back to front, which obviously is great. And our teams vary in size from anything from, say, 2 people up to 6 or 7, depending on the destination and the size of the business. So adventure experiences, what are they? I mean, traditionally EXO Adventure, we operate longer duration tours. So it could be a 7-10 day cycling tour. It could be a week's trekking, a multi-activity 2-week adventure, multi-country. But adventure experiences, we perceive that as anything that is from half a day up to 4 days maximum. So shorter experiences that can be incorporated into an existing itinerary. They can be purposely built in or included as an extension or an add-on, pre or post tour. They can be designed to include various activities and suit all ages and levels of fitness. I'll just backtrack slightly. When I say incorporate into an existing itinerary, it could be that you have clients that have already, you've already designed their itinerary, it's all set, but they've got half a day in Hanoi, or they've got a day down in Saigon that they're sort of, you haven't fitted anything in for them. They just wanted some leisure time. And then they've turned around and you said, actually, you know what, we might be thinking, you know, what can we do for half a day in Hanoi? What can we do that's a bit different? And then you might be able to say, oh, actually, you know what, we've got this half-day cycling tour. It's great for all the family. So that's what I mean by existing itinerary, purposely built in. What I mean by that is that actually, you know, your clients specifically want to build in a half-day or full-day cycling tour, or even perhaps something that's 2 or 3 days. And of course, an extension or an add-on is self-explanatory. You might have someone that's going to be flying into Chiang Mai, and they want to go out and do a 2 or 3 day trek to start with, and then they're going to continue their tour. And that's something they can obviously do pre or post. So that's basically what an adventure experience is. And the reason why we've developed these type of experiences is that it allows for a broader reach. And it allows for you, especially for those guys that are selling tours to, you know, leisure travelers, the opportunity to be able to sell them something that's a bit more active. And I really believe that because of what we've been going through this year, that when eventually, certainly the borders over here in Southeast Asia start to reopen, I think that people are really going to be wanting to get out there and do something a bit more active, escape the towns and cities, leave the crowds behind, the ultimate social distancing, and really have the opportunity to get out there and do something fun and active. And I really truly believe that that's going to be very popular when tourism really starts to open up again. And hence the reason that I've decided that we should talk about this topic today. So in adventure experiences, they can combine the best of adventure. It can be from cycling, trekking, kayaking, rock climbing, cultural immersion, and more. As a means to venture into secluded and unexplored areas. By engaging in the ideal activity for the given terrain, we're able to explore where others have not travelled. Ideal for families, individuals, or groups with diverse interests. So pretty much open to anybody. We've got something for everyone, basically. And I think what's important just to cover there as well is that we're not just talking about pure adventure here. We are talking about the opportunity to absorb yourself in the local culture. So it could be that you go into a village and stay for a day or two to learn about their culture and how they live. So the term adventure can be quite broad, and you know, we pretty much have it all covered. So one thing that I do want to make clear as well is that obviously, you know, we operate as a separate entity, but we are part of EXO Travel. So bookings made easy. What do I mean by that? So basically, we're here, and behind the scenes, we act as a supplier to EXO Travel, which means that you can continue to communicate with your usual EXO contact, and they will coordinate with us behind the scenes to help set up the perfect adventure experience. So, you know, we're not going to complicate things by saying, okay, so, you want to do that half-day cycling tour, or you want to do the 3-day trek? Oh, well, that means you've got to speak to EXO Adventure. No, absolutely not. I mean, that's going to start getting messy and complicated. You will continue to talk to your usual contact. And obviously, if that's something that you want to incorporate, your clients want to incorporate in a tour, or add on as an extension, then obviously they will talk to us behind the scenes, and then of course we will set that up for you. If it is something that's slightly more, you know, if you do get the odd inquiry that might be 7 or 10 days pure adventure, that's slightly different. Then what might happen is that your usual contact will then probably connect you with us, and then we will then speak to you directly. But most of the time you won't probably see EXO Adventure. We're going to be behind the scenes doing our thing. So a simple process and guarantees the high quality and service you expect from EXO. So I mean that's the bonus as well. And from an adventure perspective, we have a lot of the equipment, a lot of bikes, the setup. We have all the right connections. So there's a lot that we can do for you. Also giving you peace of mind. So all our adventure experiences undergo a full risk assessment and are led by our expert adventure guides who are all first aid certified. So obviously adventure, some elements of adventure tours are, there's a slightly higher risk. So obviously we need to make sure that we do a full risk assessment. As I just mentioned there, our guides are all first aid trained and they're all adventure fanatics. So that's it's not just their passion, it's their hobby. With most of the guides that we use for the adventure tours, or for the section of the tour that would be the adventure element, most of them have been working for us for at least 5 years, if not more, sometimes up to 10 years. I mean, EXO Adventure itself has been in existence since 2014 as a separate brand, but before that, EXO was still operating adventure tours. So we've used a lot of the same guides for a long time now. So I mean, they're not only are they adventure experts, but they're also guides, local guides, so they have that knowledge as well. You know, so they could quite easily, you know, ride around on a bike all day, and they could also take you on a tour of Angkor. I mean, that's how good these guys are. Health and safety is obviously a top priority, and also just to mention that beyond what is the normal standards that we aim to achieve, we have also, or will be introducing a number of measures to ensure clients are protected when travel recommences again, because obviously could be a few changes that need to be made, a few new things that need to be introduced, and that's something we've already given great thought to, and obviously we'll be including as part of any tour moving forward. The great thing about adventure experiences is that they're the perfect way to experience local encounters. So when you're on bike, kayak, foot, it creates easier ways to engage with local communities and cultures. You know, you're actually out in the open, moving around, and you're passing people all the time. We very much encourage accidental encounters, obviously through exploration and a smile. And a smile when you're out and about on a bicycle, on foot, and you're coming across the local people goes a long way. And obviously they like to say hello, and they might want to have a chat with you. That's where our guide comes in handy, because obviously they can do all the translating. And also, we'd also include cultural encounters as well. What I mean by that is an extensive network of contacts providing access to interact with people and places. So it can be anything from puppet making to a game of patong. You know, so a lot of the activities, adventure tours, you know, if you're on a bike, we might stop off somewhere and you have the chance to experience something a little bit unique and different. And most of them are a little bit remoter because they're not in, you know, towns or cities, or you know, they're out in the countryside. So you might be the only people to have visited that village, watching them making water puppets for 2-3 weeks. So that's the sort of opportunity you have when you're out and about on an adventure activity. Okay, so that's as much as I wanted to tell you about EXO Adventure. I don't want to go into, I could go on forever. I'm not going to do that because, like I said earlier, the main focus of today is to talk about the adventure experiences. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to give you some sample itineraries from across the region, just to give you an idea of the type of thing we can do. One thing I will just add, just looking at that picture of the little girl that's obviously had probably one of the best days ever, is that when you're out on cycling trips, for example, and it could be, say, a family-orientated trip. Most of the time, for a lot of the cycling tours, the short ones, half and full, one day especially, they're open to probably families that have children probably 4 years and up. We do have child seats for bikes, we have children's bikes, and we have what's called a tag-along. You're looking at one there. You can see that tag-along is attached to the back of the mountain bike in front. So mum or dad might be riding the mountain bike, and your kid can jump on the back, and they can have just as much fun as you. In fact, if they pedal backwards, they're really going to drive you crazy because they're going to keep stopping your bike just for a bit of extra fun there. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with just talking about, like I said, I'm going to pick out a couple of different options from most of our destinations just to give you a bit of an idea about the type of thing we can do. So I'm going to kick off with Myanmar and cycling the back streets of Yangon. So this is a really, really cool trip because if you've been to Yangon before, you've probably done all the major sites, Wat Pagoda, the Strand, and whatever else you may have done. But this is a really cool trip because you get to jump on your bike. It's a full day, and we really take you out into the bustling back streets of Yangon. As most tourists, you just touch on those main sites, and you might pass a few on the way as you're in your minivan or however you're traveling around. But you know, when you're pedaling around the city, you really get the opportunity to really sort of experience local life. Yangon is a fast developing city, but it still has a lot of local suburbs. So we really get you into those suburbs. You get to experience, meet lots of different types of people. You get to go to local markets. You do get an amazingly good view, actually, of Shridagon Pagoda from behind, an area you wouldn't normally go into. It's just a really super cool, and the great thing about this trip is it's open to everybody. So whether you're an adult or a family or you've got kids, it's a really nice, easy cycling tour. It's safe. The roads are pretty much flat, so there's nothing too challenging. We can stop when you like for a cup of tea or a nice refreshing cold drink, and obviously also stopping for food on the way as well. So that's a really super cool, different view completely of Yangon, something I really highly recommend to your clients. Next up, something a little bit different, a little bit more probably full on, is we call it pedal powered Inlay Lake. This is a perfect alternative for probably slightly fitter people, probably people that do like cycling, to a ride from Mandalay to Inlay. Most people will travel obviously by bus or minivan and stop off in places like Kalau. This is, I mean, the countryside between Mandalay and Inlay is absolutely amazing, and it really is a superb 3-day ride. It is you're averaging about 50 kilometers a day, so I mean there's a few kilometers to do, and there's a few ups and downs, nothing too strenuous, but we do recommend this for nobody that's younger than the age 14. But you get to pass through some really amazing villages. You're traveling over the Shan Plateau, which is absolutely stunning. One thing I should just add as well about any cycling tour is that we always, anything that's beyond a day, we always add in a support vehicle. So if you've got clients that might be traveling, there might be 2, 3, 4 people, and you've got 2, say, cycling enthusiasts, and then the other 2 people aren't so enthusiastic, they can either travel on the support vehicle for the full duration, or they can jump on a bike. They can ride as long as they want or as short as they want, and they can jump on the support vehicle to cool down, have a rest, have a drink. That's the delight as well with these types of trips. They don't have to cycle, fully 50 kilometers from start to finish. But say this one's a bit more full on, but it is a great alternative from traveling from Mandalay to Inlay. So I just wanted to put that one out there. So that's just a couple from Myanmar. I'm going to crack on now to Thailand. Obviously, everyone knows Chiang Mai, beautiful spot, amazing place. It's been on the map for many, many years now, but this is a really great mini multi-sport adventure, which allows you to do some cycling, some trekking, some kayaking, as you can see from the picture. You experience local hill tribe communities. You actually stay one night in a homestay. And also the final day, you get to do bamboo rafting down the river. So some of those activities are quite traditional and standard, but when you're throwing in the cycling, you get to go to Mike Nat Dam as well, which is really stunning. You have some amazing views from there. It's a really cool 4-day trip, and obviously we're in stone's throw of Chiang Mai, so it's very, very easy to access. So this is the type of trip that you could definitely incorporate within an itinerary. Or you could definitely do it as an add-on pre or post tour. And the one thing that I will also say about any of these tours that you're seeing today, of course, these are just a very small amount of what we can offer. They can be adapted. For example, you might have some clients interested in that mini multi-sport Chiang Mai, but they might only want to do it for 3 days. No problem at all. Let us know, and we can obviously, we can amend the itinerary slightly to work it to how your clients would like to do that trip. It could be they want to do a bit more cycling, or they don't want to do cycling, a bit more trekking. We can work it towards what your clients' preferences are. Another trip which also is out of Chiang Mai, which is a great trip because most trips tend to go north. This goes south. It's called Lampang Round Ride. It's a 1-day tour. And yeah, we're heading south of Chiang Mai, and a lot of people don't tend to do that. So this is actually a less visited part of Thailand. And what's great about this is you actually get to experience a local train. So we jump on the train first and head south for just over an hour. And then we jump off the train, and then we get to have a trip around Lampang, which is a really beautiful old town, and has a stunning temple. You get to experience lots of different types of handicrafts and so on this trip as well. It's a nice, easy ride, nice and flat. So obviously train down to Lampang and then we ride back. Again, this can be for adults and families alike, because in Chiang Mai we do have the child seats, we have the tag-alongs, and we have the children's bikes as well. So it's a really cool one-day trip out of Chiang Mai, and an area that people don't tend to visit, which is quite tough in certain destinations in Thailand these days, but this is one of them. So highly recommended for anybody that's got a free day or wants to add in a different type of experience when they're in Chiang Mai. Now moving on to Cambodia, the Angkor Wat Explorer. This is a full day of cycling around Angkor, basically, and this is an absolutely amazing day. Now, my first trip to Cambodia and Angkor was back in 2001, when obviously it was much quieter, and then I tour led in Cambodia for a couple of years back in 2005-06, and I'd never done this, and it's amazing. You get this opportunity to ride bikes along the walls of Angkor Thom city. Some of you that have been to Angkor probably didn't even know that existed. So yes, you get to visit some of the normal sites. You're going to get to go to Angkor. You're going to get to see Bayon and so on, and Terrace of the Elephants. You're going to get to see that, but you're going to get to ride on the top of the wall where there's no tourists. Let me tell you now, the picture there is actually on top of the wall. And you're riding along the wall. It's very safe, and you get to ride through some jungle as well. And like I said, you still get to see the iconic temples, but you get to see Angkor from a completely different perspective. And I can't believe that I didn't do that tour until 2018 and was wondering what on earth, how I'd missed it. So a superb day out, and a really, really great alternative to your standard tours around Angkor. Obviously you get to travel with our expert guide, and as I said earlier, not only is our guide an expert in adventure and cycling, but they're also experts in Angkor, and can talk about all the temples and so on. So that's a great trip for everyone, so highly recommended, for sure. Another trip that you can do out of Siem Reap is a trip up to Kone Mountain, about an hour and a half from Siem Reap. If you've ever travelled out of Siem Reap on your way to, say, Phnom Penh, or flying in and out of Siem Reap, if you look into the distance, you can see the mountains, the hills, and that's Kone Mountain. Still not visited that much, which is great for us and for you and for your clients, because it's not a place that people tend to head to unless they've got an extra day or two. One of the things with Siem Reap is that some people do tend to finish tours in Siem Reap or start them in Siem Reap. So you could definitely, if you don't include it within an itinerary, you could definitely add it in as an extension, pre or post tour. And you get to head up to Kone Mountain. You get to trek through the hills. It's not too strenuous. There's a couple of hills for sure, but and you get to camp as well. And when I say camping, I mean, yes, you camp in tents, but you're on these elevated steel huts. You can see the picture, and it's really, it's as comfortable as you get when you camp. And we set up tables for dinner. You get served some superb food, and it's just a really great alternative experience when you're in Siem Reap. So again, really, really highly recommended. A great trip, and something completely different for your clients to do. And I would say that, I mean, that I think Kone is going to get more popular. Certainly, it's something to do over the next sort of 5 years or so. It's going to be a really cool experience. Okay, moving on to what says the other side of the Mekong. That could be a number of countries, but we're talking about Laos, and I'm talking about the other side of Luang Prabang. So this is a cycling tour. Now, I lived in Luang Prabang for 4 years. I mean, an absolutely stunning, beautiful place to live. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. In fact, you couldn't even probably live in a nicer place. My commute home was along the Mekong, watching the sunset. Absolutely stunning. When you're watching the sunset in Luang Prabang and you're looking across the Mekong to the other side of the river, it's a part of Luang Prabang or Laos that people never go to. You just don't tend to go over that side. So we've got this really cool one-day cycling trip over there, which just basically takes you away. I say the hustle and bustle, if you can say that about Luang Prabang, but it takes you away from traffic, from people. It's a really genuine experience, riding through some cool villages. And it's just a really, really fun mountain bike experience. I would sort of put it between easy and medium. There's a few bumpy roads and there's a couple of hills, nothing too strenuous, but we've put that down as probably minimum age of 12. But that's it's a really cool trip. You get the ferry across the river. And when I was living in Luang Prabang, it was something that I always loved to do when I had a free day, because it really got me out into the wilderness. And it was, yeah, I mean, a very easy access across the Mekong. So that's a really cool trip. Another one that we've got here is Luang Prabang Trekking Retreat. I mean, a lot of people do tend to do a little bit of trekking around Luang Prabang, but it might be part of a one-day trip up to Kwang Si Waterfall. So you might do half a day trek going to the waterfall. This is expanding that slightly, and we go out towards that area. But because we're trekking for 3 days, we managed to go a little bit further out. We stay in a really cool eco lodge on this one, so not roughing it too much. It's very comfortable, but you get to walk through some stunning countryside. We enjoy some really nice picnics, and you can see the picture on the bottom there of the place where you're staying. There's a pool, so you get there and you've just been trekking for a few hours. You get to open up a cold beer lao, relax by the pool, and it's just a really, really cool itinerary. And like I said, because in this area most people only tend to probably trek for a day, we are going slightly further afield. And I mean, we did this trek 2 years ago. Once a year we have an EXO Adventure managers meeting, and what we do as part of that trip is we do some activity. We only did it for 2 days, but we trekked out in this area. And I mean, again, I'd lived in Lampang for 4 years previous to that, and I'd never been out to that area before, and it was really beautiful, really stunning. And I was quite surprised because I actually didn't, I wasn't aware of that area, so it was really cool. So great trip, highly recommend it, and quite comfortable as well, because you're staying in some nice accommodation which serves also some amazing food. Moving on now to Borneo. And now this one is probably a little bit more for the thrill seekers. Most of you that have knowledge of Borneo, particularly Sabah, might be aware that it's also quite famous for its whitewater rafting. A really fun day out. Now, what's unique about this particular day trip is the fact that you actually get to travel to the start point by antique train. It's the only way to get there. So it's a really different approach to starting off your whitewater rafting trip. It's very close to Kota Kinabalu, so it's accessible quite easily from there for the day. So really, really easy to get there. This might not be for everybody. I've rated this as medium, and for minimum age of children of 12 years. Depending on the time of the year, depends obviously on the intensity of the river. But it's obviously, we actually do use a supplier there that obviously are well renowned and of high quality. So we do rely on them there. You're not going to get me paddling down the river. That would be a bit of a disaster. You get to go through 7 rapids with crazy names: merry-go-round, breakpoint, Scooby-Doo, Cobra Rapid, and so on. But that's a really, really cool alternative trip to do from KK, Kota Kinabalu. And I do highly recommend it for anybody that's got any spare time in that area or wants to add it into their tour. It's a really, really good day out. But as I say, it's definitely for the thrill seekers out there, for any clients that want a bit of a definite fun day out. On the other side, moving on, this is a completely different type of experience. And again, a type of experience that we can include around the region. And this is exploring, venturing into more of a community-based tourism initiative. So you get to visit the Muruk community, again, easily accessible from Kota Kinabalu, 3 day, 2 night. And this is a really cool experience because you get to spend time with the local communities and get to learn how they do various things. So rubber tapping, hand weaving by using the bamboo skin, making fish traps, speed making. You get to learn how they dance, their cultural dances, but you also get the chance to do a little bit of trekking and a little bit of cycling. So you get quite a lot thrown in. So it's a really, really great 3 day, 2 night experience. That is, we recommend it for families of 7 years and upwards, and obviously adults alike. And you really get the opportunity to immerse yourself in their community and learn how they live. And the reason why I've put this one in there is not only is this a great experience in Borneo and Sabah, but like I said earlier, is that we can do these types of experiences in other destinations as well. You could do the same for somewhere like Lampang, from Hanoi, from Chiang Mai, and so on. So we have plenty of opportunities in other destinations, and I think again, as we move forward, people are going to probably be more interested in getting out there and learning more about local communities and escaping towns and cities, and great opportunity to learn more about local communities, and also to have some fun as well. So that's a really cool tour. And then Vietnam. So cycling the Mekong. Quite often people get to Saigon and they might head down to the Mekong, perhaps for a day, sometimes a little bit longer. But this is a really great trip, which is open to families and adults alike. A really great chance to really delve into the Delta. It's a really chilled out ride. It's nice and easy, very flat. Well, as a Delta mostly is, always is. You get to cycle down some really cool back roads, some rural trails. So some of them are on the road, but some of them, as you can see from the top photo, is these sort of pathways that lead through the paddy fields. You get to try the amazing food that you get in Vietnam, especially down in the Delta. You get to meet lots of local people. You get to stay with local family. It's just a really cool alternative. Suggest that you could include this as part of an itinerary for clients that might be starting or finishing a trip in Saigon and want to go down to the Delta anyway, or it can be included as an add-on for sure. But this is a trip that anybody can do. It's really cool. Again, on this trip, you will have a support vehicle. So obviously, if people want to have a rest and so on route, they can do, no problem. They haven't got to ride the whole way, but it's a nice, easy trip. So that's a super cool way of exploring the Delta. Up to Hanoi now. This is just a half day bicycle trip, but this is a great opportunity to, Hanoi is an amazing city, but it's full of hustle and bustle. It's pretty crazy, but literally within a stone's throw of Hanoi, we can get you out into the countryside and take you riding along the banks of the Red River. You get to see lush paddy fields, really explore the countryside, and say it's so close to Hanoi. It's just you wouldn't really believe it. So it's a nice flat route. There's no hills. It's a really leisurely ride. You get to visit a local family's house and learn about their daily life and drink some local tea. You'll get to see some pagodas, some lively markets, some beautiful gardens. And so it's just a half-day tour. You could extend that to a full-day tour if you want to, but just for half a day, it's a really cool experience and can be included in any leisure itinerary. So, if you've got clients that are going to be spending a night or two in Hanoi, this is a must. It's a really, really great trip, and it just gets you out of the city and for a few hours. Yeah, highly recommended. Moving now on to Indonesia. This one's probably a little bit more for people that have a medium level of activity, as in slightly fitter, but this is a really great trip. The northern slopes of the road slopes of North Bali. You start off by getting to trek up Mount Batur for sunrise, which is an amazing experience. If you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. I did it about 4 years ago. Absolutely stunning experience. And then we get to travel through some more remote villages that are located within the radius of active volcanoes, and you get to see how they live. And what's also cool about this trip is that we actually finish down in Prasi, which is down by the beach. So you get to camp overnight by the beach, and we have a bonfire and we have a barbecue, and it's a really, really cool experience. So it's again a really cool either an extension or something you can add into an existing itinerary. But so it's a really, really great trip. But as I said, it is for people that probably are medium fitness level. And then finally, we've got this trip here, which is Bedagal Canoeing and Trek Adventure. It's a full-day trip. I was lucky enough to do this last year. This is on the banks of Lake Bataan. And most people would want to visit Ulam Danu Temple. It's very famous. You can see the picture on the top there. quite easily accessible from Ubud. It's probably the easiest way to get there. And this is a really cool one-day trip. So I did do it. It's an early start, but you get to travel to the lake, and then we jump on the canoes. And then you get to see Ulundanu Temple from the lake, which is a unique perspective. We're normally on the lake before tourists start to arrive, so you get to take some really good pictures of the temple. And then we row the canoes across the lake and jump off, and then we head into the rainforest. You can see these guys in the bottom picture, with our local guide that's from that region. And basically you get to learn about the flora and the fauna and the local traditional herbs, medicines. It's just amazing what plants they use for local medication, and you get to, it's just a really fun experience. And is this fair to say that I really didn't know if I was going to enjoy the day, because I didn't know really what to expect, and it was probably one of the best day tours I've ever done. And I've obviously done quite a few, so really, really highly recommended. So yeah, definitely a must do for anybody that's in Bali, and certainly for people that are staying in Ubud. It's a really, really cool day trip, because they're normally going to go and visit the Ulundanu Temple anyway, so why not extend that day to have a bit more fun. And when I say trekking adventure, it is pretty straightforward. It's not too strenuous. Pretty easy, recommended for families probably of children age 8 and above. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could go on forever and tell you all about these various experiences around the region. All I wanted to do was just to give you a real sort of cross-section ideas of what we can do. And you know, there's plenty more out there that we can do. You can visit our website and there'll be more options out there for you. But I just wanted to tell you the type of thing that you can incorporate either in your client's leisure tour, or even, you know, like I said, add on to the trip, and give you a few ideas about what can be done, because there's some really fun, amazing adventures out there. And as you probably just seen from the presentation, you know, when we talk about adventure and cycling and trekking, it's not all hardcore. Some of it is nice and easy, and very easy to access as well, certain areas. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I could go on for another 2 hours or so, so I won't. I'm going to stop there. Thank you to everyone that's joined today. I really appreciate it, listening to me talking about adventure. As I said earlier, I mean, obviously a lot of the time you won't even know we exist because we work behind the scenes, but you can email me anytime at all, no problem whatsoever. I'm fully available to answer any questions, and if I can't answer it, I will point you in the right direction. Our local teams are obviously the experts as well. So thanks again, everyone. Enjoy your day, evening, afternoon, wherever you might be. I will hang on for another couple of minutes if anybody's got any other questions, but otherwise, thanks for joining, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day, and looking forward to the day that we can start getting clients over here and start enjoying some of those adventure experiences. Thank you very much.